Come gather round, my fellow friends. The story I tell you is sad. It's all about my family home. I built it with all that I had. I settled down with my family here. My children were young and so small. We were proud and happy in our home in Donegal. But as time and years roll by.
When do we want it? No. What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
Sean Shackrock to Jean Realtush. Neil Mudgy Clacky Nia Snow. Tamuja Giri. 15%. Anish! What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
100%.
When do we want it?
No.
What do we want?
Carja!
When do we want it?
Jim Martashev, Tamojita Sasta, and Scafsha Shaw, Aegel, a Shaw, and you and Balya Lifford. Again, Akich, Shaw, Hun Brew, a courier in the Realtas, Imalya Clay. I'd like to welcome you all here, folks, today to Lifford Town. We're all gathered here for one reason, and it's a reason for applying pressure in these last couple of weeks to the government, the establishment in Dublin. My name is Fergal McLaughlin. I'm one of the organisers here today. And before I start, I'd like to say just a few things that need said. We in the Lifford MICA group are a very small group of people who have done great work in such a small space of time. I'd like to thank our band of warriors, which is not very many. But listen, we did the job. I'd like to thank Ali Gallagher, Tommy Quinn, Breach and James Brennan, and my wife Mary. Mary's a Tyrone woman, so I'm going to have to be shouting for Tyrone this evening. Well, okay, I must also thank our sponsors who have supported us throughout, and our team of stewards who have been out since early morning there. So a big round of applause for our stewards there. And thanks also to Chuck McGowan for a loan of his lorry. Chuck at the Farmers Home in Strabane. And also for the sponsors there, the people of Strabane for showing up here today as well. And we also got a few sponsorships across the way. That's great. Shop Assurance. Okay. Okay, and I can't go by without thanking the local facilities there, the sports clubs, sporting clubs and businesses who give us a loan of their car parks for the day. This wouldn't have happened and we wouldn't have got as many people into the town only for you. So a big thank yous to yous. And lastly, I must thank the people for coming out here today. And that's you. And without you, we couldn't highlight our plight without you, the people. And we're so proud of the many people that have turned out here today in the capital of Donegal to show your support to make effective homeowners and families. My chef, well done. Okay, Karja, I stand up here today as a homeowner. I stand up here today to represent my family, but not only my family. I stand up here to represent all the MICA families. If the representatives are not going to fight our corner, then we must fight it on our own, through people power. We have been let down by most county and country TDs and councillors. I say most. We have a simple message for them. Either stand up for us and stop hiding in your trenches, or get out of office. It's time, Karja, it's time for the politicians to stop towing their party line and start towing the line of the people. To the government ministers, you can go down in history as the ones who can bring this scandal to an end by giving us 100% redress. Or you have an option. You can also go down in history as the people, as the ministers, as the government that failed the people. And I know which one I would rather tell my grandchildren. And finally, I'm just realising there I didn't put my glasses on. And finally, from me, before I hand over to the invited speakers here today, I wish to make reference to the men in their swanky suits. The Kerry men, let's say. The men who are fond of writing letters to Paddy. Writing letters in the name of cowards. Let me tell them this, here and now, and I hope you're all with me, folks. If they bring Paddy Diver to the court, they'll bring us all to court. And if they tend to put Paddy Diver in jail, then they better be bloody ready to put the whole lot of us in jail. Thank you. Okay, folks, I'm now going to introduce you to our first speaker, Barry Moore from Killigordon.
Hello. Well, as Fergal says, I've been going around sticking posters up on nearly every pole that I see at this stage. But just an introduction, my name's Barry Moore, I live in Killigordon. I was asked to speak here today just to tell our MICA story. Myself and Aisling have been together for 22 years. We're one of thousands of families that have been affected by MICA, and we expect 100%, and that's actually need 100%. Myself and Aisling had a son, Rian, when we were both 21 years old. From the day he was born, we decided, right, it's time for us to get a family home, trying to get us moving forward. We were lucky enough to get a site from Aisling's father, just by paying inheritance tax, of course. Aisling did 4 years of college to become a mental health nurse. I worked 2 jobs just to keep things ticking over while we were looking to save money to build our house. We applied in 2005 to Donegal County Council for our planning permission. We got it passed. It was no problems. When we went looking for a mortgage, we were told we would have no problem getting a mortgage either, as long as Aisling had finished her college and started working. But we had a problem that whenever she did finish working, the HSE weren't hiring. So she had to go to Dublin and work in a private hospital. Yeah. With Aisling living in Dublin and me working 2 jobs, we relied a lot on family to look after our young son. But we willingly did all of this because we knew at the end it would be worth it. Every spare second I had, I worked at the house. I fitted the windows and doors, I fitted skirting architrave, I put in door frames, I hung doors, I put down wooden floors, anything that I could do to get us in quicker. In 2008, a new chapter began for us. We moved into our new home, our forever home. Nobody appreciated it more than us because we had lived between a mobile home and in-laws' houses for 8 years. Aisling still worked in Dublin. She went up to Dublin every second week, worked 7 12-hour shifts and came back again. This continued while she was heavily pregnant with our daughter Neve, who was born in 2010. But again, we did all this so that we could have our dream home. Aisling then got a job in Donegal, and for over 13 years we had so many memories in our home. We had birthdays, birthdays, Christmases, parties, communions, confirmations, first days at school, last days at school, our daughter growing up, our son becoming a young man, lost teeth, broken bones, sickness, the passing of family members, or holds memories for us and our children that they or we will never forget. In 2017, Aisling sustained a bad back injury, which has a major effect to this present day. Like our home, her spine is degenerating. Aisling has had no choice but to grin and bear daily challenges with her health and just feels frustrated by the endless challenges we have. MICA has added another dimension of degeneration in our lives. I was now here in our house moving at night time. I was lying in bed listening to coins falling off the house cracking. I knew now I had to tell Aisling. I took her outside, walked her around the house and showed her all the cracks outside and told her we had MICA. She was shocked at what I had shown her, but questioned what can we do or what is there for us to do. I told her there is a scheme, but we can't afford to get on it. And there is a scheme, but we can't afford to pay 10% of what it takes to fix our house. The final straw for us was another coin falling off while her daughter was going around the house on the bike. It literally missed her by a foot. How has this all affected me? I used to be the relaxed optimist. Aisling was the worrier who lost sleep over her worries, my worries, everybody's worries. I just slept. MICA has changed me now as a person. I'm now an anxious person who can't sleep before 3 o'clock in the morning. I worry about what's going to become of us, where we will end up, who will help us. Will one of us get seriously hurt? Will the house fall on our kids at night whenever we're sleeping? I went to the first protest in Dublin and was so proud of Paddy Diver and the people of Donegal fighting for justice. And it made me realise that we weren't alone in this situation and there could be hope. I came home that night and I listened to Government Minister telling us he knows how the people in Donegal affected by MICA feel. He knows how we feel. He knows how it feels to be worrying about his family sleeping in a house that's fallen apart. He knows how it feels to be thinking you've let your children, your partner down even though it's not your fault. He knows how it feels to have his daughter asking where she's going to live and telling you she loves this house and doesn't want it knocked down. Then I hear another minister asking, why should we rebuild these big houses in Donegal? You should build them because you and your government's lack of governance has created problems. This is not our fault. We have always told our children to work hard for the important things in life. Should I now be teaching them that it doesn't matter how hard you work, because the democratically elected government don't care for the ordinary people they have been elected to represent? How do I explain that because we live in Donegal, we matter less? It's a case of blatant discrimination. And please don't let the government make you feel guilty for having a house that you worked hard to have. And don't let them make you feel like you are, as they keep saying, a cost to the state. They are as much to blame for this as the defective block suppliers. And finally, 100% redress is not our request, it's our human right and it's our demand.
Can you give us house story?
Now, I'm going to wing it
Okay, folks.
the same as the government, and hopefully I'll do a better job than they do. Really how it started, my mother is from Ramelton, and we moved to Ramelton when I was 16. Speeding forward, I spent a lot of years in Canada and in Australia, and in 2009 my dad passed away. And I thought, this is the time to come home, my mum's on her own. Anyway, I came back and not a lot of money, and my mother said, why don't you ask Donegal County Council if any of those new houses, the new builds, are available? Which I did, and yes, they had one for sale. I bought the house, and it took me another 7 months before I could move into it because I didn't even have the money for a bed at that stage then. And 6 years later, little hairline cracks started to appear, and my brothers, neighbours, everybody kept saying to me, oh, that's just settling cracks, that's just settling cracks. And I really didn't know any better. And then 2017, they were getting worse. So I got the Triconal, I got the mayor at the time, Ian McGarvey, he came down. I got on to Donegal County Council, they didn't want to know, didn't want to hear a word. You're a homeowner now, you're out on your own. I got on to Greg Hughes on the radio, and Greg mentioned MICA. And I really didn't, I had heard the word MICA, but I didn't know much about it. So then I went on the internet, looked it up, and first picture. I knew then that I had MICA. And look, I'm angry, and all of you should be angry. As Barry said, this is our right. We don't have to pay for our homes a second time. I don't care if you're in a one-bedroom studio apartment. I don't care if you're in a mansion. We worked for it. We paid for it. It's our taxes. I'm so angry. I've become somebody I'm not. I've become a keyboard warrior, and I'm angry at everybody. And I come across angry, but on the other side of the screen, I'm sitting there and I'm crying. My mother now has dementia, so, I mean, if she knew what was happening now, she'd be brokenhearted. I think we have to, there's so many more people that have to pull their socks up. You know, it can't be a few of us fighting for all of us. That's how I feel. It's only people that have MICA that understand, and families that have families that have MICA. You know, my children, I can joke about it, they're already saying, you know, you're taking her. When my house is demolished, no, you're taking her. It's a joke. They do it to make light of it. But the truth is, I'm 65. I have another year to be on a pension. There's a lot like me. Where am I going to go? I'm fighting for my independence. I'm fighting for my dignity. I'm fighting for my home. And more than anything else, I'm fighting for my life. I'm sure he's ready for a trade-in. His wife must belong to trade him in. He's got more mileage on him. Up and down to Dublin, everywhere. He's there. You know, and we have to support him because he's fighting for us. And we all have to do it. And there might be some people out there saying that's not Kathleen, that's Tina. I am Kathleen Martina and I get called Tina, but I answer to Kathleen as well. So just everybody, thank you. You have to be tough. You have to get on Twitter. I'm begging people to get on Twitter. That's where you're noticed. You're not noticed on Facebook. Facebook is a waste of time, I'm telling you. Get on Twitter. Talk to people. Write letters, phone calls, everything. If one person is going to stand up and try and pull us all into it, we need to be backing it the whole way. All right, thank you.
The human fighter speaker, he needs no, absolutely no introduction at all. When this is all over, this man should be given the freedom of Donegal. To Paddy's wife and his family, we say thank you. Folks, put your hands together and give a mighty cheer for Paddy Dimmer.
Hi, listen, hey. Thanks a million for the brilliant turnout. We've come a long way, so we have, from living in fear, silence and worry. And we stand here together, united. You should all be proud of yourselves, so you should. Standing here united, that's what it is. We have the power in numbers, and see the media teams up here, we don't realise the power in media. So being honest, us live streaming and Instagram and all the rest, it's far more powerful than we think. And it's not just Facebook, as Kathleen was saying, it's Twitter and a lot more than it. So anybody who's got your phones, get them out and live stream everything that's going on around you, because the rest of the country and over the world needs to know what's happening out over here. So pull out your phones whenever you can. Hi, we can start here with a big blame game and start pointing fingers, but that's not what we're here for today, so it's not. Today's about the people. We're not numbers, we're people. That's what it's about. Real people, real lives, real mummies, grannies, children, fathers, just like me. The salt of the earth Irish people, we have done nothing wrong here. And this is about every single one of you here today. We have the right to feel safe in our homes with no stress and to get 100% and no less. I hope this is the last time that we have to go on stage. I hope there is no Dublin protest after this. I hope we're getting this 100%, as they say, they're giving us an answer at the end of September. But if it is the case, there's just ones that have to be thanked. And thanking you people are number one. But other than that, I've got my wife and the team behind me as well. And that's Lisa Healy, for one, has been completely instrumental in this here. It's just unbelievable what she's done and the power she's done behind it. My family as well have been brilliant, but especially I have to give one. My sister Caroline has been unbelievable. And listen, I'm going to forget a heap of people like Barry Kearney, etc., etc. But you know who you are, so if I forget somebody, don't feel insulted or nothing like that. And just another thing, these stories, this media team's going around and doing all these interviews and all. In the Strand Hotel next Saturday, all day, anybody that wants to come, you can come, it's an open house. It's free tea and sandwiches and everything, cakes and all. Everybody just come individually and get your stories out there. It'll be out there through media. There's bigger media out there now than RT won't print nothing. So there's DigiWebs out there and there's the YouTubes. There's a lot of stuff that people in Dublin know that we don't even know about getting stuff out there. So in the Strand Hotel, from next Saturday morning right through to Saturday evening, anybody that wants to come and get your story and have it out on social media, they'll be there. And there's another thing I want to say as well, like Paddy Dover seems to get a whole big blow up here, fair enough, for the last lot of months, but at the same time, it's like Ireland, big football team, you get the big names and all the rest, and there's some people like maybe that don't get as much recognition. Now, people, I'm telling you, see this Michael Doherty man, I respect that man, I have that man since I've got involved in this here as off the charts, honestly. You can't forget, it's not that I wasn't there in the background, I was there the first protest when Dermot English landed up in the council offices in Cairn, I was there. But it's only really the last since that, well, you all know a conking lorry went past outside my gate, that kind of really drove it home that we had to stop that. But this man's been going for 9 years, people, and see anybody being honest, there should be nothing negative said about this man, it's pure positive. And I'm going to hand it over to him. He is the legend here as far as I'm concerned.
Well, all I'll say is praise from Paddy Dover is praise indeed, because to my mind, there is absolutely nobody in this county that will be remembered the way this man will be remembered in 100 years' time. Now, he has a team behind him doing an awful lot of work, and we know that, but he has an engine beyond compare. I wasn't planning that part, but fair play, it had to be said. What I will say is, yes, I've been involved in the MICA Action Group, and there's people there even before my time as well in there. Anna and Eileen's done a hell of a lot of heavy lifting over the years along with us here, and even our first scheme, bad and all as the first scheme was, and wasn't what was promised, there was something that we could at least point to now and say, that scheme didn't work, and this is what we need to do different. I'm in the working group, I'm in the working delegation. We have a massive responsibility because we believe with 5,000 to 7,000 homeowners in Donegal alone that's depending on us. But we have Mayo, we have Sligo, we have Limerick, we have Clare, we have Tipperary, all just at earlier stages than what we're at. And in fairness, although they're no different to us in Donegal, it took us a long time to waken up, and here's the man that really made us wake up, because I know the difference between being in the MICA Action Group with this campaign and without this campaign, and I can assure you, without this campaign, it was a lonely road. But this is absolutely brilliant. This is where the game needs to be at. The other counties will be watching on here and knowing what they need to step up to. We have a massive, massive month this month. And as I said there on one of the wee podcasts, I see Lisa here from the MICA Action Group media team, and they keep prompting me to do this, that, and other. But I did put out a wee podcast there, and it is spilt milk come October. There's no talking, and I'll have very little tolerance for somebody coming back to say what they should have done in October. This is when it matters. The game is there to be played. The ball is on the pitch, and we either do a hell of a job here now over this month, or we walk away, and there's no way we're walking away. There's a lot of questions out there, and I would love to be in a position where I could run through the absolute detail of where our proposal's at. But all I can assure you, I'm a homeowner myself. We talked there, and somebody mentioned, it's been talked already about, different sizes of homes. Should they be flats? Should they be mansions? Whatever the case may be. Where we are right now is the three pillars that we talked about from the very, very start are still there, and they're front and centre of what we're looking for. The first one is 100% redress, no less. We have not deviated from that. We're fighting tooth and nail with officials that want to hold on to the old scheme while we're pushing for 100% redress. Now, where does that end up? It'll end up that they'll see what our final position is, and they'll see that at 10 o'clock on Friday of next week. That's when the working group meeting resumes. Okay, they've had 6 weeks off to themselves, so I'm hoping they're coming back and fully charged, because I'll tell you one thing, we're ready. We've had sidebar meetings with the different departments, the Department of Housing and the Housing Department themselves, and then the Housing Agency, two different groups. We've had to get educated in the workings of this stuff in a very, very short space of time, but I'll tell you, we haven't lost ourselves in it, and we're well capable of holding our own. We've had great work as well done by Michael Carr, a consultant in this field, that again through Paddy has made contact with us and helped us formulate what we think is a very, very strong position paper now, and that's what we'll be going for, and that's what we'll be presenting. We're calling it our final position because we're not bending on what we've done there. 100% redress is pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, and again I have this stuff rounded off to 15 different TDs down the 6 affected counties this week already, so it comes easy enough. But pillar number 2, quite simply, is the state-backed guarantee. We have a real issue with the fact that somebody thought it was okay for us to go through this chapter more than once, right? And the second time they thought we should go through it on our own. Because when we have latent defects in block work, we have engineers walking away knowing that they've left blocks behind them that has mica and pyrite, and another one called pyrrhotite, which is even worse again. Okay, and we know now from experience of North America and in Canada, pyrrhotite was actually worse than any of the rest of them. And it was in the poured concrete that they had the biggest issue in the States with this stuff. We have poured concrete that we know has the same aggregate, the same crushed rock as what was in the blocks. Granted, there's more cement and it'll be higher Newton, 30, 40 Newton, as opposed to 5 or 6, or in some cases 2 or 3 was put out. But the reality is simply this: we want to know them foundations are also okay, and they're not even covered right now under what's called the defective concrete block scheme, because guess what? They're not blocks. But whoever would think it would be okay to build a new house, even at the cost of the exchequer, on foundations is not even tested? This is the stuff that we're pointing out, bread and butter, to people that should know better, but it seems to fall to us. So what we're looking for, in the absence of all the science, in the absence of the confidence that this stuff is going to be okay, we want somebody to stand over it. It's not going to be us, it's going to have to be the state, and we're looking for a 40-year state-backed guarantee. That's pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is the excluded homes. This we have a real bone of contention with, because they put into the scheme that it had to be principal private residence only. Okay, so that's the homeowner. But we have other situations out there. The buy-to-let people. The buy-to-let people are not multinational landlords. These are people that, a lot of them in the trades, whenever times were good during the Celtic Tiger, decided to put a few pound together and maybe buy another home in the estate that they were living in and rent it out. Okay, it'd be a pension pot in years to come, or it could be a fund for their kids going through college, or whatever the case may be, paid through, hard-earned cash that government got their VAT from, government got their other taxes from, and was built in good faith, thinking that they had blocks that would stand by them. You would have always thought safest houses, and that's what they were putting their money into, for their future, for themselves, to be independent and to be less dependent on the state. That has turned from an asset to a liability, because right now they can't even enter the scheme. But that's the landlord part, right? He's trapped, he can't do anything with that home. But then there's the family that's living in that rented accommodation. Where do they go? They can't apply for the scheme because they're tenants. The landlord can't apply to the scheme because he's a landlord. Where does the government think these people are going to go? So where we are, very simply, is that there should be no excluded homes. These homes that are buy-to-lets are the small investments made by an ordinary homeowner, and they're also the homes of the tenants out there. These tenants have nowhere else to go. They can't watch a home fall down around them and be completely abandoned by the state. Somebody in Dublin thought that was okay. We say it's not. And there are also the holiday homemakers. And again, these are not flying into their holiday homes in their helicopters. That's what government would like to suggest up here, that we've got these people so well off, oh, they've got homes here, there and everywhere. Not the case. Quite simply, it was money that I get phone calls now from people that bought homes 20 years ago as a holiday home, cared for it as a holiday home. Now they want to cash it in because they're retired. They can't cash it in because they can't sell it. It's a MICA or a pyrite affected home. So these homeowners, you know, some of them still paying mortgages on it, some of them that have paid 20 years mortgages on it, are now being left behind by the scheme. We're quite simply saying there should be no homes left behind in any part of the scheme. So pillar number 3 is no excluded homes. There's also much other detail. You know, we thrashed this out. Myself, Paddy was there as well on Sunday. You know, we've got Anne, we've got Eileen, we've got Eamon, we've Joe Morgan, we've got Chris, we've Brian, we've Catherine, we've different people working this as well here. And we're trying to get our heads together and trying to put together what we believe is as representative as we could possibly get. You know the story yourself. If we put everything up on Facebook that people want to see, you're going to end up in a situation where everybody picks a hole in something and everybody has a better opinion of what's there, and it's easy for them. But I can assure you it's not as easy on this side of the table. But what I can say to you is we'll accept nothing on your behalf that we wouldn't be prepared to accept ourselves as equally affected homeowners. Guys, all I want to say to finish up is a massive thanks to Paddy Differ, number 1, and his entire team. Please, a big round of applause. I also have to pay tribute, and I'm so glad that Paddy has recognised that. You know, there was a MICA action group, there's still a MICA action group. I have to say, it's a much refreshed MICA action group. People will see the level of activity that's going on, and there's a few people involved in making that happen, and it's our new MAG media team. That's Lisa, who's down here in front of us. Okay, we've also got Michelle, we've also got Sarah, we've also got Christine, we also have Jerry, and we've got Eamon working there as well with them. They have made a massive difference. They've freshened it up. They've brought us into a lot of the 21st century stuff that we needed, which is absolutely excellent. So a massive thank you to the MICA action group that we have got going for us as well. And lastly, the people, and not, you know, as I say, last but not least, and absolutely the people. I had a lady and her husband walk up my lane yesterday evening. They come and they don't live in our locality, and handed me an envelope with €100 that I passed over to Charlie Gibbons there to pass on to the ladies. She come up, they don't even have MICA themselves, but there was a tear in her eye when she walked around our home and saw our dreams, saw what was a family home that my granny lived in 50 years ago, and there had been nobody since I built my house on it 20 years ago that I thought I'd be passing on to my grandchildren's grandchildren. And I'm not even going to get 25 years out of it. That's the reality. The people out here need to step up, and need to step up this month. For those of you that have, absolutely full credit to you, and for those that haven't, please do so, and please do so now, because it's come at the end of this month, it's going to be too late, folks. Please, and thank you very, very much once again.
Come gather round, my fellow friends. The story I tell you is sad. It's all about my family home. I built it with all that I had. I settled down with my family here. My children were young and so small. We were proud and happy in our home in Donegal. But as time and years rolled by, the cracks they started to show. Then another year passed, they opened up fast as my corner blocks started to go. Myself and my wife, we've worked all our lives for a house now worth nothing at all. I know it's not right, we can't sleep at night in my home in Donegal. Nowhere to go, find some help. We've searched both near and far. Our politicians and local TDs, they promised us the moon and the stars. As my house falls down, not one can be found to shout redress through the dull. Though I'm standing on rock, I've crumbling blocks in my home in Donegal. This road is so long, but I must be strong, and I know that I'm not to blame.